Hey guys, it's Jake. Welcome back to the channel. So, most of you guys know that I am a massive fan of the Silent Hill franchise. In fact, Silent Hill is one of my favorite video game franchises, period. And I have an extensive history with Silent Hill. You know, I'm 27 now, but I first got into Silent Hill when I was in 7th grade. So I have spent a lot of my time immersing myself in the Silent Hill universe, particularly when it comes to Silent Hill 2, which I don't need to go into depth as to why this game is so good. For 2001, this game still holds up tremendously well, and it has one of the greatest stories in video game history, bar none. And this is my Black Label copy that was gifted to me by my parents. Still has the manual, and it still plays great. So, I bring up Silent Hill 2 because I just saw the new Silent Hill movie called Return to Silent Hill, which is supposed to be an adaptation of the second game. And you know how it is with video game adaptations, they can be pretty hit or miss. Most of the time, they miss. But the one saving grace behind this new Return to Silent Hill movie is that it is directed by Christoph Gans, which, if you guys know, he directed the first Silent Hill movie. And as far as video game adaptations go, I actually think that this movie is pretty good. Yes, it has its flaws, and it is pretty long for a video game adaptation, but I do think that this is very faithful to the source material, and you can tell that there was some passion behind this project, and all around, I do think this is a decent movie. So when I went into the theaters tonight to see the new Return to Silent Hill movie, you know, I was thinking, you know, maybe it won't be great, but it might be serviceable and be a decent entry into the Silent Hill film franchise. But unfortunately, guys, this movie completely misses the mark. It is legit one of the worst movies that I have ever seen. Like, I left the theater angry and disgusted, and I am going to tell you why I hate this pile of shit movie. So one of the most important things about Silent Hill are the characters, right? Because they're pretty deep and complex individuals and have a very mysterious aura about them that gets less and less cloudy the further you progress in the video games. And unfortunately, Return to Silent Hill misses this mark in pretty much every single way. And the characters are just completely butchered in this movie compared to their video game counterparts. So let's talk about James, shall we? So James, in this movie, is played by Jeremy Irvine. And looks aside, he just does not make a convincing James whatsoever. And it's not entirely his fault. Yes, his acting is pretty lackluster, but it kind of feels like in this movie, it's kind of forced upon that he's this really depressed guy who's just completely down and out about losing his girlfriend. Yes, Mary isn't actually his wife in this movie. She's his girlfriend, which I thought that was ridiculous, but back on topic. Like in the video game, James is a very somber character. You can tell this guy is really grief-stricken, and Jeremy Irvine just does not sell the role of James at all, and it doesn't help that, like, throughout this movie, he's just like, what? What is that? Like, your conventional horror movie trope character, and it's so stupid. And it also doesn't help that the movie gives him a completely unnecessary backstory that James was this painter who wanted to move to Silent Hill to be with his girlfriend, Mary, and then whenever she dies, he becomes this drunk and lonely bastard that sees a psychiatrist, and it's just like, why is this stuff here? You know, it is completely unnecessary fluff. It serves no purpose to the main story of Silent Hill 2. Like, why is this stuff even here? It just does not make any sense. And now we're going to talk about Mary and Maria's characters, who are both played by Hannah Emily Anderson. And I'm sorry, Hannah Emily Anderson, no matter how attractive you may be, you cannot save this movie. I'm sorry, I just had to get that out there. But anyway, Return to Silent Hill completely butchers Mary and Maria's characters. Let's start with Mary. So, Mary's character gets this completely unnecessary backstory as well. So in Silent Hill 2, we don't know why Mary got sick, but she gets sick. In Return to Silent Hill, the reason why she gets sick is because her father was one of the head honchos of the Order, which is the cult of Silent Hill. And she basically becomes their guinea pig, and she essentially feeds off of the blood of other Order members. That's how she gets sick in Return to Silent Hill. And when I saw this movie and saw these clips of her in the Order, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Why is this here? It makes absolutely no sense. I'm thinking that the reason why is to tie in the other two movies with this movie, because the first Silent Hill and Revelation are based off of Silent Hill 1 and 3 respectively, and because 2 is its own standalone game, I'm thinking that the filmmakers thought, oh, we gotta tie this movie to the other Silent Hill movies, and how can we do that? Oh, let's make Mary part of the Order, and it just feels, it's extremely tacked on, completely unnecessary. And there's also a scene where, you know, she's being lifted up by the other Order members, and you have James screaming through a sewer grate like, no, like, stop it. And it's just like, this is really, really dumb. And now we're going to talk about Maria's character, which is an absolute joke. So when she meets James at Rosewater Park in the movie, you would think that she would stick with James for the most part throughout the rest of the movie, right? Because that's how it is in the video game. Not even close. Maria is maybe in this movie for about 10 minutes, if that, and her character is just so poorly written, it just makes my blood boil. Like, this movie, there's very little implication that she is a manifestation of James's desires. It's kind of forced upon at the end of their scenes, like, yeah, I'm Maria, and I look like you're Mary, right? Let's get out of here together. And it's just so stupid. This all happens in one scene. We don't even get Maria's name until like 8 minutes into her character, and at that point, her appearance on screen is pretty much over, and it's like, what is this? Like, this is so stupid. And you know that at the end of the hospital level in Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head chases James and Maria through that really narrow corridor, and then she gets stabbed by Pyramid Head, leading to her first death in the game. Well, in the movie, this is her only death. We never see Maria again after this point. And it really goes to show you how poorly developed Maria's character was for this movie. There's a scene where James goes back into the real world in the hospital with his psychiatrist, and then all of a sudden they're back in the other world, and they're traveling, James and Maria, they're traveling through this labyrinth that has all these paintings of Mary, and Maria's just pleading with him like, we could get out of here together. And James is like all angry and stuff, and he's like, no, I don't need you anymore. And then she gets sliced by Pyramid Head, and that's the end of her character. Like, her character in this movie is not fleshed out at all. It's literally like a bare bones version of Maria and her role in the story. And I could imagine that, like, if you have not played the games at all, you could say to yourself, who the heck was this Maria? Like, it is just so poorly thought out. And her appearance in this movie was arguably one of the most disappointing aspects. What a terrible character Maria was in Return to Silent Hill. Man. And trust me, it gets worse because all the supporting characters are just as bad. You guys remember Laura from the second game? She's that very mischievous kid that's friends with Mary in the hospital. Well, in Return to Silent Hill, for some inexplicable reason, she basically becomes the personification of all the town's evil, and she looks very sickly. She, like, walks and crawls really fast, and, like, she whispers into James' ear at, like, the end of the movie, we're doing this to you, James. You gotta face your fears, James. And it's like, why are they doing this to Laura's character? It's so stupid. Eddie, his character is butchered as well. He's only on screen for about 3 minutes. We don't get a backstory about Eddie. We don't get a fight with Eddie. We just see him puke at the apartment, and then he provokes Pyramid Head with James, and he calls him Jimmy Boy for some reason, which that writing is just absolutely terrible. I legitimately cringed when I heard him say Jimmy Boy, and it doesn't help that he says it several times in their dialogue exchange. It is just terrible.
You did it, didn't you, Jimmy? You woke him up.
And you can't forget about Angela, although it does feel like the filmmakers forgot about Angela, because her character is extremely lackluster as well. We barely see her throughout the movie, and all of her trauma that was really put into detail in Silent Hill 2 is only implied in the movie, and you get absolutely no backstory about Angela whatsoever. We do get to see the abstract daddy for a little bit, but James doesn't fight the abstract daddy. He just kind of like stands there, and that's pretty much it. And then Angela's completely gone at that point. Like, it's only implied that Angela has had some traumatic events in her life and experienced a lot of abuse, but it's never fully fleshed out in Return to Silent Hill, and that's extremely disappointing as well. Alright, that's enough of the characters. I gotta talk about the rest of this movie, which I have nothing positive to say. As you guys know, Silent Hill is really big on atmosphere, and this movie completely lacks any sort of entrancing atmosphere, and I think that that's a major flaw with this movie as well. Does it look like Silent Hill? A little bit, but literally the entire movie is 95% CGI. It looks so fake, and I understand that, like, the first movie was also mainly CGI, but at least this movie, which was released 20 years ago, looks better than a film that came out in 2026. Like, the lying figures look so bad. I've seen lying figures look better in Microsoft Paint. It is just an absolute joke. There's spider enemies that are in this movie that look absolutely horrible. The creepers that are in this movie, they have a lot of close-up shots, and I don't know why, because you can definitely tell that that is just CGI crap. This whole entire movie is CGI slop, and it just looks really ugly. As I mentioned before, the writing in this movie is absolutely horrible, and there's just a lot of scenarios that defy logic for Silent Hill standards in this movie, to kind of make it more grounded in reality as opposed to like this parallel dimension. Like, for instance, when James first arrives in the foggy Silent Hill, he meets this hobo that tells James that the evil and the darkness is about to come. And I watched the scene and I was like, why is this even there? Like, we don't need this. And then whenever James is in the apartment building, he calls his psychiatrist on his iPhone. It's like, phones don't work in Silent Hill. What is this garbage? How is he able to talk to his psychiatrist? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And also, if you're expecting this movie to feature a lot of music by Akira Yamaoka from the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack specifically, you are going to be extremely disappointed because it is virtually non-existent in this movie. And it's funny because in the trailers, they even gave him a separate credit, music by Akira Yamaoka. So when I came into this movie, I was expecting to hear a lot of Akira Yamaoka's music from the soundtracks, but throughout this movie, I can only recognize maybe 3 or 4 songs that he did for the Silent Hill soundtracks, and it really takes away from the atmosphere of an already non-atmospheric Silent Hill movie. And it's also a head scratcher because in the first Silent Hill movie, there was a lot of Akira Yamaoka's music. It was everywhere. And it is just nowhere to be heard in this movie, which is another extreme disappointment. So yeah, don't even waste your time with this piece of shit movie. This is legit one of the worst movies that I have ever seen. It is truly a disgrace to the series, and I just can't believe that this abomination, Return to Silent Hill, actually got greenlit. Like, it is really that horrible. Whatever you do not buy a ticket to see this movie. Do not stream it when it comes to streaming services later this year. honestly, I just want to pretend that this film doesn't even exist. It's really that bad. And honestly, if you want to experience this story, just go out and play the game. This is the best way to experience this story. Buy it, emulate it, whatever you gotta do. You gotta experience Silent Hill 2 because this is actually worth your time. And all I gotta say is the only positive experience about this whole thing is I got this pretty cool postcard for the movie. So thank you, filmmakers, for this pretty cool postcard, but too bad your movie is a complete stinker. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, then be sure to like it, subscribe, share, whatever. I don't really care. I just wanted to vent to you guys about how much I hated this movie. And yeah, do not see this movie. And that's all I got for you. So take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Silent Hill forever.